pacing around the floor. Got southern woods and waters gonna take me out the door. Got coffee on the perkin, I'm about to have some fun. They'll have my mind chasing some critter on the run. Bring it on, southern woods and waters, make me hear that sound of a fish that's breaking water or the bawling of some hound. Make me smell that river mud, feel clean air on my face. Bring it on, southern woods and waters, show me that special place.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to this week's edition of Southern Woods and Waters. Hope y'all are having a great Thursday evening so far. I know that we are all very happy to be here in the studio with you tonight. Hope you all enjoy the show. We've got several different things we're going to be covering for you. It is a great time to be an outdoorsman right now in the state of Tennessee. I'll say that. Whether you're hunting or fishing or just wanting to enjoy time outdoors, it's a pretty good time to do it. So we can go ahead and pan out. Dayton and I are joined tonight by Courtney Smalley and Anthony Landry, and you guys are already familiar with them. And tonight we're going to be talking some deer hunting, of course, guys, and getting into some of that. But we're going to be also taking you down to West Tennessee on not one but two deer hunts with Courtney, and that's going to be her first buck and her second buck. So not only did you guys, were you able to get, get one, you were able to get two in 2 weekends. So that worked out really well, and y'all were able to be successful. So looking forward to that. Got a rut report for you. Going to talk a little bit about what's been going on that we've heard from Middle Tennessee area, West Tennessee area, and I've even got some information from some guys in the East Tennessee area. So going to talk a little bit about that. I was successful yesterday. Thank goodness I finally got one. Dayton don't have to hear me whining and complaining anymore.
At 9 o'clock yesterday morning, it sounded like violin and cheese, son. Yeah,
well, I'm telling you,
some wine on it.
Hey, you just gotta let your stress go every once in a while, do a little venting.
That's right.
And then back up and get yourself a little bitty tiny dove stool and
go
walk
out
up my thicket
and
and
let
make it
your
happen.
food plots get mowed down and everything, right?
Gotta do what you gotta do, man.
That's right.
No,
That's right.
It has been a season of challenges so far, and I was very blessed yesterday with one of the best bucks I've ever taken in my life. A very nice deer. Got a lot of factors to be thankful for about it. One of them, of course, my buddy Jack. We talked about this earlier in the season, but if he wouldn't have passed that deer up for me back in September, he wouldn't have never been there. So anyhow, long story coming up on that, but really looking forward to sharing that deer just because of the history behind him and the story. There's a lot to it, and I'm really looking forward to sharing that in a few weeks. So that's something else coming up. But tonight, Courtney, we're talking your first two deer. We got our cameras ready to go now. A while ago, I was trying to get panned out, and I couldn't get it done right. I apologize, but let's talk about your first. First off, are we down to where you're hunting with Anthony, and you were down there, and the first weekend, you're after your first buck. Right. So when we get going here in a minute, we're going to be after the first buck. You've been hunting now. People have been following you. We had your first deer on here. We've aired it. You've done so many things. But tell me a little bit about this. Set it up for me and just kind of tell me how everything went.
First, I didn't walk in quiet enough. I'll just say that. I'm getting better.
Did somebody remind you of that?
Yeah.
She called me drill sergeant.
Sir.
So you started out crunching your way in.
Crunching the leaves on the way in. And we go, what do you call that, the small?
Call that new house.
New house. So it's the smaller food plot. And the field's here, and there's a road here, and he's barking orders at me. You make sure you watch that field.
Right.
Yes, sir. You know that's how it works. So I'm watching the road. He's watching the field, and he said, "It's a buck. It's a buck." I said, "No, it's not." Jokes are over here, so right. I'm like, "It's not a buck." It's like, "No, I'm serious. It's a buck this time." And I'm like, "Oh, great." Whoo, here it comes. And I mean, I had to hurry. He was coming across the field.
Sometimes it happens quick.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a road that goes off in that field, and he was fixing to go down, and it was like, it's now or never.
Right.
I mean, when they get to moving, they're gone. They either
It can be so quick. It can.
That's
you know.
right.
Yeah.
I've had my daughter this year. She's had a great season so far seeing deer. She's seen two of the best deer she's ever seen and hasn't been able to shoot yet because both of them have run right past her.
Yep.
And we couldn't stop either one of them. That's something that happens a lot this time of year. You hear that happening. So, like you say, when
I'm not one to throw out a
when it
holler.
presents itself, sometimes you got to take the opportunity.
Yeah, I'm not one to normally throw out that holler to stop them, but I was throwing out everything that one.
Hey, sometimes you
going
throw
down.
everything but the kitchen sink. That's right. I did. One of the deer I'm talking about with her this year, I whistled, I grunted, I hollered.
It
I did
didn't
everything
matter.
I could, and he wouldn't stop.
No.
I tried everything in the world. And, you know, he was within 25 yards. Sometimes they're just not going to.
You can run over them with a car and he won't stop.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I mean,
That's
we've
the
seen
truth.
it happen.
Sure, I mean, literally, they just keep on trucking.
You know, we talked a couple of weeks ago about, you know, how lockdown was kind of getting started. It was getting kicked off a little bit then. It's pretty predominant now. It's really getting, and Anthony agrees with me, this is really some of the best time of the year right now. I know we've said that the last few weeks because it has been the
Yep.
best few weeks, but we're kind of getting to the pinnacle now of your big deer are starting to move around a pretty good bit. That's how I was able to get on the one that I did. Just like I said a couple weeks ago, I'm waiting on one to get locked on the property, and he did, and it's a good time to be able to move on a deer.
You know, when you found that deer and how you hunt, did the camera help you, or did you have to really not even worry about that no more?
Well, it helped us a lot, actually, to be honest. When we first, the way that everything got started out, the food that we were originally hunting the deer on was just through farming practices, nobody trying to be malicious, but that we lost our food plots in a day. They were gone. We went from the best food plots we ever had to we didn't have any. And so I had to kind of start putting a plan together, figuring out what are these deer going to do, because obviously they weren't going to be coming to the food plots we'd worked on. And so, yeah, we took cameras and we started moving around to different corners of the property, different crossings we knew they had used historically. And actually, Jack moved a camera up on a hilltop where we had cleared just this little road out back in turkey season, just to be able to kind of cross this hill, and just be able to access above the birds easier. But he hung this camera up there, and boom, got a picture of him, 10:30 in the morning, and then had a couple others where he would get caught off and on through there at different times of day. And it told us enough to know that he was up in that area. And what's amazing is like I say, over a couple weeks' time, I moved in tighter, and I moved in tighter, and I moved in tighter. And up until I got within 60 yards, just about of where that camera was, a shot never presented itself because it was just so thick. And I would move to this stand, and now I couldn't see him. Then I moved up the hill further, and he'd be up through there, couldn't get a shot. But the cameras were very helpful in figuring out where he was. And then it was just a fact of keeping the wind exactly right and going in there on him. I had to get in there a lot tighter than I normally would. I'm usually very standoffish, like Anthony or Randy, a lot of guys, we don't usually intrude with the thickets or woods, in those areas. But this was a case of either I could watch him on the camera every day, crossing through the thicket, or I could go after him. And so when I got the wind right, I took the opportunity. And it always works this way. But 48 minutes, I was hunting for 48 minutes when I ended up getting the other day. So, it just, again, I was
Now,
really
how long did it take for that 48
probably
minutes to happen?
3 months. Probably 3 months of.
Hey, it works
Anthony's
out like
heard
that
it.
sometimes.
We've all heard it. We've all
Hey, it
heard it
does,
all
man.
year. But
I can't
does,
get it,
man.
I can't get it. There it is.
Oh, yeah, I tell you what, you just don't give up, though, do you?
The other day, about 9 o'clock, I was talking to him. Well, it went by my camera, and here I am
did.
having to do something.
I was, too.
Here I am, I'm here, and it just went by,
man.
I'm telling you.
That's all part of it, isn't it?
That's right.
Guys, let's get ready to go over and do this week's wild game forecast. This week's wild game forecast is being sponsored by our friends over at Wilson Bank and Trust. Y'all can stop in at one of 30 Middle Tennessee locations. Let them take care of all your banking and financial needs, and be sure to tell them thank you for everything they do for us here at the show. All right, guys, well, we got another front coming in here. We were talking about that last week. Front came in, turned out well, in a lot of different ways. That front the other night, worked out well for me. But we got rain coming in. You guys probably get it a little bit earlier coming in. Y'all probably going to get some rain tomorrow, I
It's
guess.
supposed to rain about the next 8 or 9 days for us.
Yeah, so that's going to be a major pattern coming in here.
Well, I'm going to tell you, a lot of people don't know, they always think Thanksgiving week's peak of the rut. in West Tennessee, because they come in, they harvest these 20 does every year. And at the end of January, and when they do these tests on them, they measure the embryos. Of course, I know you know about that with your background too, Brandon. Well, for the last 7 or 8 years, it's come back the same day, December the 9th. There's always so you know, everybody says, "Oh, that's the second rut." No, if out of them 20 does,
no, start saying the further west you go,
that is the peak right then.
It is. Back up that 200 days. We'll talk about that
That's
a little
right.
more here in a little
200,
bit.
202 days like that.
The front.
Now, yeah, some of them are going to breed early, some of them going to breed late. But if you're going to be in the woods, really, now to the 15th is when you need to be there.
So when I took Dayton to school this morning, we're in Mountain Jewett and Golden Bear. Man, there's 100 deer. I'm talking about bean field here, and there's 25, 10, 15, 30, 12, and there's bucks and does.
They're doing their
they're
thing,
wide
guys.
open.
I'm telling you, the weather's just right. We're going to get ready to take a quick break. We'll have this week's Pictures of the Week and some more Southern Woods and Waters.